Newsfirst, face to face with Charlotte Benedict.
Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Face to Face, where we keep you up to date on what's happening in Sri Lanka's political arena. A very, very important time, of course, to keep tabs on what's happening here, because in a few more months, in just a few short months, you will be afforded an opportunity to cast your vote, to decide on the future of Sri Lanka. And the decision on the future of Sri Lanka has never, ever been more critical as it is today. To discuss these matters and much more, we've got with us Lihini Fernando from the Samagi Janabalavegia. A very good evening, Lihini, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Charlotte. Thank you for having me.
Lihini, now, for the general public, really, to decide on who they are going to vote for. Usually we had this practice of, seeing who's most popular at the time. We have this one-piece slogans. You had the anti-corruption slogan. You had the, Pibidemu Sri Lanka slogan. You had the national security slogan. But this time around, especially after the Aragalia, people are looking for more substance. People are looking for a plan. People are looking for a policy. And as far as every political party across the spectrum goes, although they have had conferences putting out their political blueprint and whatnot, we haven't really seen the base document that will be their pledge, the party's pledge to the general public, which is their manifesto. Now, I understand that political parties are waiting for the election to be announced to put forward their manifesto, but during this time, one important way of identifying what a political party's policies, what their plans are, is to try and debate about it, to pit it against each other. And a novel suggestion that was made in the recent past that people are looking forward to is this debate amongst presidential candidates. Now, unfortunately, although this is a tradition in foreign countries, presidential aspirants, not even candidates, people who want to contest from a party, debate amongst themselves first, then they become candidate, then they debate amongst other candidates, and that's how things go.
Yeah.
We have very rarely seen presidential debates here in Sri Lanka. We are at the cusp of one, or hopefully at the cusp of one, but something just doesn't give, because the SJB is saying that they need the Economic Council debate first, the JVP or the NPP is saying that they need the debate between the leaders first. What's really happening here? Is this even going to take place?
So it's a good point that you brought up about this whole debate and the aspect of talking about policy. I think, Sri Lanka needs to migrate from conventional political rhetorics to, slogans to, let's save the country and let's, national security, all these rhetorics that have come through. We need to talk on policy, the future of the country. So it's no better fora, I would say, than, political party leaders, individuals, economic council individuals coming together and debating. So I think SJB is the one who actually initially gave the invitation to NPP and invited them, and we saw letters going up and down. I mean, then SJB openly came and said, look, we don't need letters, we are ready to debate. Sajid Premadasa, yes, I think yesterday also he had said that, be it the Economic Council, be it whether it's a debate with him, he is ready. I mean, I think NPP is shying away from this because they are the ones who have been, at one point, I believe Dr. Harini came and said, why not we invite Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe also for the debate. So, I mean, whichever, SJB at any point is ready to debate with anybody. And I think we are the only party out there who had said, let's talk on policy. And we are the only party who put out the policy first. I mean, we put out our blueprint. We put out two versions of the blueprint, which says about the economic plan that SJB hopes to steer the country forward. And there are clear 10 points in the blueprint. It is available in all 3 languages for the general public to read. And it's very specifically, we state how we plan to steer the country forward, economic growth relating to corruption, then rule of law, how to build a cohesive Sri Lanka, then unity, national security, various aspects, and then other policy documents relating to education. I mean, you see what people do see Sajid Premadasa going and distributing buses and giving equipment and smart classrooms. It's just one part of the plan. But in terms of economic policy, in terms of education policy, bring in smart education, STEM education. I mean, we've talked about these things. If the general public listens to the the conversations of the SJB team, the Economic Council of SJB, then the other parliamentarians, what they talk, I mean, it is evident that always our conversations has been about policy and about what we will do versus mudslinging versus rhetoric. But if you take the, I mean, I'm very open here. If you take the NPP, all what they say is Horualla, everything Horualla. Yes, Horualla no, that yes, we have a problem in this country that the people who should be behind bars are not behind bars. Yes, SJB also understands, and we are also very serious about bringing the people into book. But then NPP, you take it, all what they talk about is that. But whereas if you take the SJB, we talk about policy, be it women, children. I mean, Mr. Sajid Premadasa, when he ran in 2019, he was the first, he was the only candidate to put out a women's charter at that point. We put out a women's charter, we put out a youth charter. We even put out an environmental policy of SJB back in 2019. So SJB has always been serious on policy and leading the country in a scientific manner. The fact of the matter is, you know, how much our narrative gets seen out there and how much the general public is open to listening to these conversations is what is required. I think, you know, the voter must move out from this whole conventional notion of, you know, aspiring the leader, expecting our leader to be, you know, this flashy leader, you know, that is the whole the image we have, versus the leader having the ability to deliver. Nobody questions the leader's ability to deliver, the leader's acumen, knowledge. No one questions. If that was questioned, our country wouldn't be in this situation.
I think people are questioning it now.
Now, after the Aragalaya, now because of this whole economic situation, because the country went bankrupt, now people are questioning. But back in the day when Mahinda Rajapaksa's government, when they were taking enormous, I mean, when the country was not led scientifically, when there was corruption that was happening. Even you take when Mr. Ajit Niwad Cabral was printing money at a rate, what did people even question? They brought out the whole theory of modern monetary policy and they justified. But the fact that you and I know is money printing leads to inflation, and that theory was also, you know, ridiculed. And did the people come and question? So, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, politicians do whatever they want, but then there is also the general public and there is also the government system. There's government administration. Now, where are they? Nobody talks about that.
There is also a perceived threat at the moment that the government, or at least political parties that are within government, are trying to destroy other political parties, especially with what we see is happening to the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Do you think that this is really, you know, the doings of those in government to try and maybe secure a bigger share at the next election by destroying all other parties so that people will have no choice? Because even in the past we've seen things like this happen, but it was more direct, like, you know, the leader would come and ban a political party. It was that direct. But of course, with democratic principles really setting in and taking root in Sri Lanka, maybe such an approach would not be acceptable to the general public. So maybe now you have to find back doors to do it. But is that really what is happening, or are these political parties just imploding on themselves?
See, the thing is this, every political party has a constitution and political parties must adhere to the constitution. So you go back to the fact that SLFP, Mr. Maithripala Sirisena, can he be the leader? Because the constitution there says, you know, when you are the president, yes, you are de facto leader.
But then again, these constitutions, Lihini, just crossed my mind. They're not made available to the general public, are they?
But then you go to court citing those, right? So once
they do go to court. I mean, members of the parties, because these political parties expect us, of course, to vote for them. But I believe even the United National Party, your previous party, the constitution was a mystery.
Yes.
Was a mystery. Have you even seen the UNP constitution?
I have seen the UNP.
You have seen, but it's not accessible to the general public.
Yeah, these are good points. I mean, then you can come back to, you know, political.
What's the point in hiding a party constitution?
Good point.
Because if I'm a supporter of a political party, I'm you know, sine qua non member of sorts, and now why shouldn't I have access?
See, the thing is this, then you have to go back to the election commission and ask, you know, political parties, declare your constitutions, make it public, or you bring to the accounts also, ask all political parties also to declare their accounts. I mean, these are...
Why the secrecy?
Yeah, why the secrecy? Then also, you know, or then go back and ask, tell all political party members of all parliamentarians, make the asset declarations also public. Why aren't we doing all that?
So the SJB's constitution, is it public?
It is, but it is available. I mean, it is nothing, not a fact.
If I wanted to access the SJB constitution, how should I go about it?
You should be able to.
Can I just ask you?
Yeah, we should be able to furnish you a copy of it. I mean, it's nothing to hide. I mean, at the end of the day, if you are in a political party and there is democracy within the party, if you are expecting the country to be led in a democratic framework, political parties too must be led in a democratic framework. And if it is not, then it's time for parties for you to question its leaders. I mean, I don't think, Shalan, the way politics in this country happened back in 1990s and 2000s, that is relevant right now. We are in a tech-savvy world, and everything is accessible, and people are questioning. We are living in a country where people came onto the road and ousted a leader who had two-thirds majority. I mean, there is no such guarantee that the next leader that comes into play will also be able to stay on for the next 5 years if they don't deliver. So, I mean, we've come to that. I mean, if you're talking about democracy, people are exercising their democracy. People are saying, you'll deliver. So, political parties also, it's no longer can you hide and say, look, this is our silo. It doesn't work and it doesn't operate anymore.
But Lihini, my question again to you is what's happening right now in within these political parties, be it the SLPP or the SLFP. Then there are also rumors that there are members of the SJB who are wanting to, maybe join Ranil Wickremesinghe and all that. Are these things just naturally happening, or is there, of course, political forces at play here?
So I recall,
sinister political forces at play.
I recall back in the day, I think you might recall Ranil Wickremesinghe going and saying politics is a game. He was doing the
playing chess. I think that was an interview
that
was broadcast.
Done here. So I think
here.
I mean, we've seen how political stories unfold in many countries also. So politics in Sri Lanka, one can interpret saying it's a game, and it's a complete anarchy right now. If you take political parties, yes, the parties are there, but boundaries are not clear. If you take, within every party, yes, there is certain chaos. So I think, the solution to all these things will be an election. That is what is required, because no sooner an election is declared, these political parties, either they will come together through alliances or they will be forced to contest on their own. So that is, I think that is what is required in this country, because without an election, you cannot bring method to this whole madness. And I think it's time that the people are given the right to, to choose, because, I mean, we forget the sovereignty is vested with the people. I always tell that the constitution, it is for the people, and the people must be given the right, and Mr. Wickremesinghe should not hold it at any point. And I think, the presidential election must be held at its due time, and so is the parliamentary elections. And I think, this country doesn't need, it needs a mandate. People's mandate is that it is only through the people's mandate that we will be able to do the necessary reforms also in this country.
Before we cross into a short commercial break, just one point, because you raised it. You said party boundaries are not clear. There are parties, there are politicians, but party boundaries are not clear. How clear are the SJB boundaries? Are they very clear?
Yeah, SJB. I mean, if you look at and say, if you say UNP at many times say, look, SJB members are coming, so many are coming, and we've heard this story, but SJB has been holding
at least the SJB and the UNP have some sort of, we'll say, past familial connection. But we see no less than the chairman of the SLPP and senior members of Vietmaga and SLPP organizations that the general public and even the Supreme Court has found, were complicit in bringing this country to this position. They're also joining your party, and their policies, at least based on what they said in the past, are quite drastically different from yours.
See, the thing is this, SJB, I think going forward we'll also sign what was signed between the members of the SLPP was an MOU. Not that they came and joined the SJB party. They formed an alliance for the alliance they came in. So what the strategy of the party is, the party will put out its policies, and whoever who aligns with the policies will be open to joining.
So what if the party knows that a certain individual's policies are so far away, miles and miles away from the policies of the SJB? Those are the policies that they've been advocating for 20, 30, 40 years. If they now suddenly have a change of heart and decide, no, I think I should, support the policies of the SJB, will you still accept them?
I would say there are certain individuals that are problematic, who have completely, gone against,
tarnished their
reputation, and who has promoted false narratives. I don't want to say the names of certain individuals. I mean, who have promoted racist narratives. I don't think SJB as a party should welcome. I mean, any party must have shouldn't welcome.
No. You don't think SJB as a party should welcome them, or you don't? think that they would welcome them.
So it's like this, at the end of the day, there is a leader in the party, there's a council in the party. I mean, there are certain decisions that they take, not that doesn't mean that everybody in the party agrees to everything. So either if you don't agree, you have to walk out, but if you don't walk out, you are expected to, but it doesn't mean that you have to agree to everything also, not that everybody there agrees to everything. I mean, so recently the alliance that happened, yes, there are people who agree, there are people who disagree. I mean, that is politics, that is politics in this country. So I mean, party leadership also must understand to align themselves with people who will lift the image of the party and not individuals who will bring the party down. I mean, I don't think people who have promoted racist narratives and false narratives should be welcomed into the party. That is my personal opinion. But I mean, I can't.
And then you will, of course, stand for that opinion and fight for that opinion. I stand for because I mean,
we are individuals as the young. We came to politics to promote ethical politics in this country. I mean, today to this state, I stand by that. I mean, and that is one reason why we align with Mr. Sajid Premadasa, because he promotes himself as a leader, as a leader who we can trust, and he is an individual who has integrity. I mean, we know that he will do the right thing by the country, right thing by the people, and so far he has done the right thing. So I mean, we have the utmost confidence in Mr. Premadasa, and I think the general public in this country also can have that confidence in Mr. Premadasa that he will do the right thing. So I believe he will also, when it comes to alliances, that he will do the right thing.
Thank you very much, Lihini. With that, we'll cross over to a short commercial break. We'll be right back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Face to Face.
Newsfirst, Face to Face with Shalan Benedict.
Fulfill your dream of studying in the UK.
Sri Lanka's precious world heritage.
Fulfill your dream of studying in the UK.
Shakti Crown.
Every Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Tune in to Shakti TV.
Fulfill your dream of studying in the UK.
Newsfirst, Face to Face with Shalan Benedict.
Hello there, welcome back. You're watching Face to Face. We're in discussion with Lihini Fernando from the Samagi Jana Balavagia. Lihini, surrounding the Easter Sunday attack, since the 21st of April was just a few days ago, there has been a lot of conversation, a lot of new allegations being leveled. Very recently, former President Maithripala Sirisena said, I know who is behind this. He was summoned to the CID, questioned for 5 hours. Then he came out and he said he wants to give a statement before court. A lot of things seem to happen around this 21st of May. Now, we know that 5 years ago, this incident happened. People died, people were maimed. Today, children are suffering, children are orphaned, families are separated, people are depressed. And back in the day, what happened, or at least what an ordinary man would perceive to have happened, is this massive tragedy was used. It was sold, and it was used to gain political mileage. Is the same thing happening today again?
Yes, I'm very sad about this. I mean, I personally am a Catholic, and this is 21st April is a very paining day for me personally, because you're seeing that whole story unfold, and the whole cardinal, the messages when it comes, it is very painful, and also it is very shaming as a country. 269 individuals and dying. And today, to this date, we have not been able to deliver justice. And who is responsible for it? No, I think the leaders, whoever who has been in power and who is in power, if you cannot administer justice, they are responsible. It's pointless you coming and doing your pledges and saying, oh, look, when we are in power, we will do this. Everybody does that now. Every party does that. But that is not what is required. If you are in office, there is a law enforcement in this country. There is a CID. There are efficient individuals. Why can't you administer this particular massacre? One must question, where is the political will? Nothing in this country will happen without the political will. You take a normal crime in this country, it is resolved within such a short time. But this kind of a thing, why isn't it getting resolved? Why can't? I mean, we've had these Easter commissions, we've had extensive evidence gatherings to reporting, and then there have been cases from the commission. Perpetrators have been named. I mean, we've been talking why charge sheets have not been filed. Now we saw recently the Attorney General has filed charge sheets. So I mean, these things, if required, can be expedited. And we see political party leaders from time to time, like Mr. Maithripala Sirisena, coming and saying, look, I know who it is. I mean, it is shameful, no? It is shameful. At the end of the day, what I want to say, Shalan, is these political party leaders also must understand that you are not in power forever. And you have to die one day. That is the hard reality that nobody in this country understands. I mean, none of us know at what point we will have to go. If you do the right thing by the people, then you will make sure that, you have the right whatever blessings for you to even die in peace. So this is what I'm saying. These political party leaders, they should not hoodwink the people and take this whole Easter attack as their next political bait, I would say. It's not it's not a case of saying, look, when we are in power, we will do this. When we are in power, we will bring these people into justice. If you are sincere, even now, you can voice against it and you can voice out to bring justice. I think it is everybody in that parliament has the responsibility. I say this as an individual, as a citizen of this country. Everybody in that parliament, people who were in power when this incident happened, and people who are not in power right now, everybody, if you have some authority, you have the responsibility to call out, and that must happen. And that justice must happen. I mean, you and I can't live in a lawless country, Shalan. You and I are living in a lawless country. Everybody knows in this country you can do anything and get away with anything.
If you have the right connections.
If you have the right connections. But then you have a judiciary. Which we all respect.
But of course, the judiciary does not function in isolation.
But then at the end of the day, it all boils down to the political will of the leaders. Are those leaders sincere, and do they want rule of law in this country? I mean, we see corruption taking place, hell-bent corruption. I mean, that is one of the reasons why this country is also not...
To be very honest, Lihini, now we speak about justice for the victims of the Easter Sunday attack. Now, you yourself, as a practicing attorney at law, knows how hard it is to sustain a criminal charge against any suspect, for that matter. And those systems have been put in place to ensure that, people who are innocent don't end up in jail. There's this common saying that goes, if 100 criminals go free and one innocent person goes into jail, then that's that. So on those grounds, Lihini, 5 years after this attack, there have been multiple investigations. It's only natural that some forms of evidence would have been destroyed. Some would have perished in different storage facilities of the CID, the court, wherever it is at the moment. Do you really think that justice for Easter Sunday victims, for their loved ones, is possible, even remotely?
I think it is possible.
It is possible?
I think it is possible. If it's not possible, then we as a state should feel ashamed of ourselves. We should feel ashamed of our law enforcement authorities. Because if we can't do that, if you can't administer... I mean, it's not just Sri Lanka. Why can't we invite the international investigation units to come and investigate into this? Have we done that?
Because usually, at least when it's terror-related charges, of course, the scope is broader.
Yes.
And the leeway given to the prosecution is a little bit higher than any other specific offences against individuals.
But the issue here, Shalan, is that we have not had the sincere political will to administer the Easter tax. That's where it all boils down to.
So you think it wasn't in the best interest of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to kind of bring an end to this?
So what, the Cardinal recently came and said that, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa...
And today he issued a statement refuting those allegations.
So, who are we to believe? I mean, this is what I'm saying, that again, then we all can question the law enforcement authorities, the CID, who are government officials who are paid by the taxpayer. Why are they boiling down? Why are they bending down to the politicians? Can they not? I mean, you go to another country, you have the authorities investigating. Why are our authorities not investigating? Why aren't they putting the politicians intact? We've never seen that
even after
all of this
carnage, even after all of this suffering due to the economic crisis, politicians again don't seem to have learnt the lesson. Recently, I saw this the fact that there is a new museum that's been built in Polonnaru, I believe. I'm not sure if you saw it, where it had wax structures of former presidents. They very conveniently left out the wax structure of former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga. But that not being the issue, why are there wax structures for any reason in a country that is bankrupt and where people are starving?
Yeah,
Lihini?
so
I'm not laughing out of happiness. It's just out of
pity,
sheer amazement as to how this can be the reality that we're living in right now.
Yeah, so it's this is the thing, Shalan. Whoever who allocates funds, whoever who makes decisions to do these kind of things, you've got the people of this country also must go and question. Why are you doing these things? What is our taxpayers' money? What is it being utilized? I mean, I don't think, we have understood or got our act together in this country. I want to say this, Shalan. I think before we go in for the next election, it is important that there is a common minimum program, common minimum understanding across all political parties, because we see political narratives in this country changing from time to time. We saw Gotabaya Rajapaksa coming in 2019 and revising the tax structure in this country, which completely led into bankruptcy. And we saw how they went in, and started printing money and, and how the central bank functioned at that point. So I think, there needs to be a common minimum understanding across all political parties relating to tax, relating to the economy, relating to double deficit, then relating to the economic growth of this country, minimum growth levels that they will maintain. Then regarding the IMF program, yes, if you want to negotiate, to what extent you will negotiate. So I think, rule of law, curbing corruption, independence of the central bank. So I think, I want to say this, we as an organization, which I'm part of also, an organization called NextGen SL, we are working with 16 political parties to develop a common minimum program for Sri Lanka, and there's a eminent set of former central bank governor and many eminent individuals who are working hand in hand with us, individuals from the Chamber of Commerce also working with us. So we will put down a common minimum program and we will present it to all political party leaders because the youth of all these political parties are working to develop this particular blueprint. So I think before the next election it will be put forward, so that there will be a common base in which Sri Lanka will be led, and there will not be major deviations. So you and I will
end up destroying the country like
and
it has right now.
And so we will not go into bankruptcy again.
Thank you very much, Lihini Fernando, for joining us on this program. Of course, we wish you the best of luck for setting up this common minimum platform for all political parties so that we can have some sort of consensus in Sri Lanka and try and move out of this state of pandemonium. Thank you very much again, Lihini Fernando, for joining us on our program today from the Samagi Janabalavege. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there. But also, of course, Lihini, as much as it is important to get a consensus on these matters, it's also important to hold down or hold these political parties, hold these political leaders to their word once they get elected to power. And while wishing you best of luck to do the initial part, I also hope that you are able to hold them to their word. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there for tuning in to another episode of Face to Face. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.